Welcome to the San Francisco Public Library Commission meeting for April 17th, 2025. The time is 4:30. I'm Margot Schaub, and I serve as the Commission Affairs Analyst. This meeting is being held in person in the main library, Corrett Auditorium, and members of the public can observe the meeting using Zoom by following the link in the library's event calendar or by calling 1-877-853-5247 and entering Zoom ID 935-1193-5401. Members of the public who are attending the meeting in person may provide public comment for up to 2 minutes for each discussion or action item on the agenda. Library commissioners in attendance are President Connie Wolf, Vice President Pete Wong, Commissioners Lomax, Scaraduzzi, Bolander, and Calhoun.
Thank you very much, and welcome to the April 17th, 2025 meeting of the San Francisco Public Library Commission. We welcome those of you here in Corrett Auditorium, and we welcome our virtual audience over Zoom. We will start with the Ramaytush Ohlone land acknowledgement. The area now known as San Francisco is the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the original peoples of this land, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as the caretakers of this place. We recognize that we benefit from living, working, and learning on their traditional homeland. As uninvited guests, we affirm their sovereign rights as First Peoples and wish to pay our respects to the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community. All of the materials for this meeting are available on the Library Commission webpage or here in Corrett at the back of the auditorium. Today we have a total of 6 agenda items, and we will begin with item number 1, which is commission announcements. This is a new item, and we are beginning today's meeting. I want to be in celebration of my fellow library commissioners. Each of us who currently serve and those who have served before us seriously and enthusiastically embrace our responsibilities as volunteers to be part of the vital efforts to make San Francisco an extraordinary community for each and every resident, as well as every visitor to our city. We really are the most lucky of volunteers who have the privilege and honor to support, guide, steward one of the nation's best public library systems, the San Francisco Public Library. We stand beside the nearly 900 staff members who each and every day do their best with knowledge, expertise, creativity, and commitment to ensure access to ideas, knowledge, resources, and services for every citizen. We especially take seriously the mandate that the citizens of San Francisco made when they voted in support of the Library Preservation Fund in November 2022, which ensures that we have the resources to keep our main library, 27 branches, several bookmobiles and book kiosks, and growing online resources available and accessible and relevant for generations to come. We received a record 80% of the vote to support the Library Preservation Fund for 25 years. This was no small feat, and we thank the Friends of the San Francisco Public Library for their leadership efforts to engage voters in this important proposition. Despite the challenging times facing our nation in so many ways and the threat to libraries, big and small, across our country, here in San Francisco, we are grateful to have the new and dynamic and visionary leadership of Mayor Daniel Lurie, who recognizes the fundamental importance of libraries as key anchors to build strength and neighborhoods and communities. The San Francisco Public Library Commission stands behind our new mayor, Mayor Lurie, to ensure that the library remains an essential resource and continues to be a leader in solving the challenges our city faces. So just as there have been changes in the leadership of our city, there are changes here on the commission. Today we celebrate 2 longstanding commissioners who recently ended their extraordinary service, and we welcome 2 new commissioners who join us with wonderful experiences, perspectives, knowledge, and spirit. Let me start with the 2 retiring commissioners, Teresa Ono and Susan Mall. Teresa served as a commissioner from 2009 until recently, including time serving as the president of the commission. Teresa for all of those who know her. She's still here, alive and well. Added enormous spirit, insights, and passions in her 16 years of service. And you could always count on her to wear her true colors. Blue and yellow when the Warriors were playing, orange and black for the San Francisco Giants. But without a doubt, her favorite t-shirt was the yearly Summer Stride version, which she always wore with great pride. Her generosity extended in such meaningful ways to the staff as she attended and participated in so many different events, always acknowledging the invaluable contributions of the staff at all levels and areas of service. She was not only our cheerleader, she was an exemplary steward and mentor. For a few of us sitting up here today, she always gave us great advice, had no problem correcting us when we didn't get it right, and cheered us on when we found our way as commissioners. And she always was leaving little treats for us up here, just in case we had a cough or a craving for a piece of chocolate. Teresa is a true San Franciscan with an extended family with deep roots, and we thank her for her service, her passion, and for continuing to make San Francisco and the library so great. Susan Mall served as a commissioner from 2013 to 2025, including time serving as the vice president of the commission. Susan brought her experienced, inquisitive, curious, dedicated, and passionate spirit to the library. Her distinction was offering, at the same time, generous praise and reminding us how we could always be better. We could always count on her for her very honest, clear, insightful, direct, and challenging questions and perspectives, but she always did it with a smile, made us laugh, and always really made us want to do better. She has a long history of working with nonprofits to make communities stronger, and so she really treasured the opportunity to apply her knowledge and perspectives as a commissioner, and as a result, everyone benefited. And she knew that the library's strengths were the result of the staff's dedication and hard work, and she valued the relationships she built over the years with many staff members. Susan has an insatiable appetite to learn and make things happen, and the library benefited greatly from her investment of time and ideas. On a personal note, it was Susan who suggested I join the One City, One Book committee, which is what brought me more intimately involved with the library. So I am enormously indebted to her. We thank Susan for her extraordinary contributions and are so grateful she will continue to serve on our One City, One Book committee. So as we thank two amazing individuals, it's time to welcome two new amazing individuals who I know will bring their vibrant and timely perspectives to the commission. The two individuals are Sean Calhoun and Whitney Jones. Unfortunately, Whitney was not able to join us this week, but we look forward to welcoming her at the May meeting. So I'll start with you, Sean. It's enormously exciting to have a library professional be part of this commission. Sean currently serves as the University Library Dean at the University of San Francisco. He's been involved with USF for over 20 years, and somehow, I don't quite know how he did it, but in some miraculous way, he held key positions in over 20 years at USF, while also earning his Master of Library Sciences at San Jose State University and his EDD at USF. And at the same time, who is raising his sons with his wife here in San Francisco. Clearly, this is someone who can achieve a lot simultaneously while also achieving new levels of excellence. Sean is not only a library leader among his peers nationally of university librarians, he is a distinguished leader here in San Francisco at one of San Francisco's leading universities. His dedication to students is inspiring, caring deeply about their resources, capacity to learn, and making sure they have opportunities that will allow them to live their best lives not only as students, but then as contributing leaders in their own professional lives. It is this combination of library expertise with his dedication to the whole person that I know will add so greatly and be impactful to the library and the commission. Plus, he knows what the struggles are for librarians and will be a great advocate for the staff at all levels of service. Thank you so much, Sean, for being so generous with your time, ideas, perspectives, and spirit. It's a great honor for all of us to call you a colleague. And while Sean brings his experience as a proud lifetime San Francisco resident, we're delighted to also have Whitney Jones join the commission as someone who made the decision several years ago to leave her East Coast roots and move to San Francisco and make it her home. From what I understand, Whitney's introduction to San Francisco came when she first met her assigned freshman roommate at Middlebury College, who happened to be a proud resident of San Francisco, and I guess the rest is history, and lucky us. After graduating from college and beelining it here to San Francisco, Whitney applied her knowledge to work at the Gap Company, at Old Navy, Athleta, and Banana Republic in merchandising and customer service and experience. These skills and interests are greatly welcome at the library, especially as we work on our new strategic plan. Whitney's interest in the library has only deepened over time, especially after having children and making the time to have the library be a constant destination for the family to discover programs, check out books, and experience firsthand the essential role the library plays in her neighborhood. It is wonderful to have Whitney be part of the commission to not only offer her professional expertise, but also her personal perspectives as someone who uses the library continuously with her family, which we know is so important to why the library matters in so many communities. So we welcome Whitney from afar and look forward to having her here with us in May. And let me end by acknowledging this incredibly diverse, wonderful set of commissioners that I feel so honored and privileged to serve with. Vice President Huang, who is just reappointed to a 4-year term. Commissioner Lomax Garaducci, who has also served as past president. Commissioner Lopez and Commissioner Bolander, you now have the honor of no longer being the new commissioners. I want to thank each of you for the kind of spirit and energy you give to this commission. We are really, really, truly the lucky volunteers to sit up here, to work with the staff, to really be part of making San Francisco and keeping it great. So I want to just honor the commissioners here, and I want to honor all the past commissioners. We stand on the foundation of so many amazing people who have given so much time and effort. Of course, I can't help but say that one of our country's most amazing leaders, Nancy Pelosi, began her career as a library commissioner. It was her very first political engagement. I don't know who up here is going to follow her footsteps. I think of anyone, Whitney's the youngest, and she has the longer, you and Pete have the long runway ahead. So we look forward to you. But here's to a bright future ahead for our city under the visionary leadership of Mayor Lurie. And here's to the amazing library and its growing and deepening strength as an enduring resource for generations to come under the leadership of our wonderful city librarian, Michael Lambert. So thank you very much. As usual, before we open this up for comment here with my fellow commissioners, we will open this up for public comment. So public comment is now open here in Corrett Auditorium.
In the room. Okay, now I'm hearing it. Good afternoon. Can we start the timer, please? I'd like to start the timer for my measly 2 minutes. Thank you. I'm Peter Warfield, Executive Director, Library Users Association, Library Users 2004 at yahoo.com, and P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California 94117-0544. It seems that the new commissioner who's present is on a bit of a busman's holiday, and I certainly hope that he might let us know what his long experience and sounds like excellent experience that he's going to bring here, what he's looking forward to accomplishing and why and how he's gotten into the position. I did want to say something good about Commissioner Ono and Commissioner Mall, particularly Commissioner Mall, who paid a lot of attention and always asked when she did ask very good questions. I hope that the new commissioners will be concerned with the democratic running of the commission and democracy and a whole range of issues that we've had with the library, many of which the library actually agreed with and in some cases in particular did what we suggested or asked for. We're particularly concerned with process. For example, today we have 2 minutes for public comment on every agenda item instead of the 3. That started in January, and the last meeting we had no public comment and no vote at adjournment, despite the fact that the law requires public comment on every agenda item. We're concerned also with the larger issues at the library of privacy, which is important to intellectual freedom, disparate access, and free, as we used to say, free and equal access to the library materials and programs. And good luck. Thank you very much.
Any other further public comment on this agenda item?
Hello, library commissioners and library leaders. My name is Emily Garvey, and I'm the executive director of Friends of the San Francisco Public Library. I will add Friends' welcome to new commissioners, to President Wolf's welcome as well. We've had a bit of a chance to talk so far, but I will take this opportunity to reintroduce Friends. At Friends, we serve as the library's advocates, investors, and champions, and have done so since 1961. We are a foundation, a grassroots advocacy organization, a book donation warehouse and used bookstore, and now the library's official merchandise store. We look forward to getting to know you over the coming years. Speaking of our work as advocates, we are in the process of meeting with Board of Supervisors members as part of our ongoing advocacy work for the library. We aim to help the Board of Supervisors understand the importance of the Library Preservation Fund, the voter-approved public funding stream that enables our library to provide high-quality, equitable services across our city. We also look forward to sharing that the library's $185 million budget accounts for only 1.2% of the city's $15.9 billion budget and has an extraordinary return on investment. We are the only major city in California with a library system with all locations open 7 days a week, and 75% of our residents live within 15 minutes of a neighborhood library. At Friends, we are in an exciting event season, fresh off of Night of Ideas, which was an extraordinary library event and collaboration. At Friends, we helped co-host the after party, the discotheque in the atrium, after the main event. We have up next Library Laureates, our biennial signature gala event, which will be at the main library on May 3rd. And this year we are adding an after party to help draw in younger audiences to the event for the future. Thanks.
Further comment on the commission announcements?
Hello, Commission. I'm going to spare some of the details about what I've experienced and just move right into something that I think you should know. This month alone, I've been told twice that I would receive some communication about an administrative hearing. I just checked with security before I came in. They did not have a date. I talked to the facilities director. He's in the audience now, and he says this is something they're still working on. I want to ask the board to take a special interest in this. This has been a very busy month for me. I had to attend a Sunshine Task Force meeting, a Board of Supervisors meeting, and then an Ethics Commission meeting. Only then did I get a little movement over at Sunshine. And again, twice this month, we're at the midpoint of the month roughly, and I still haven't received the communication. I'm not really sure what the holdup is, but I'd like to exhaust the process, go through it, and as I said, again, I'll save you the gory details of my experience that's prompting all of this. But if there's anyone who's very interested in a couple of the things that the first gentleman mentioned towards the end of his statements, such as access, full and equal access, I would urge you to take a look at my issue. I'm sure the director is familiar with me, so is facilities, Stacy Smith. Thank you.
I just want to remind people that this is about the commission announcements. There will be general public comment in the next agenda item. So if you have any comments about the commission discussion, this is it. Otherwise, please wait until the general comments, the open comments at the next agenda item. Just confirming this is about the commission.
Very much so.
Okay, great, thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Ruben. I am the Circulation Supervisor at the Ocean View Branch, where I've been since 2014. And I'm also a union officer, and just extending our welcome. Congratulations, Commissioner Wong, coming back. Our new commissioners as well, so we just wanted to extend that. We thought it would be a good point to just reset, just like introduction to labor. I'm a union officer with 1021, our library chapter. We meet with library management at the Labor Management Committee meeting. Maureen leads on that. Additionally, I'm the union representative on the Health and Safety Committee, so that's another piece. I'm also very privileged to have been on 3 bargaining teams, so play a lot of different roles. We just wanted to just extend welcome to our new commissioners, and congratulations again, Pete, if I can call you that. And that was it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further public comment? Seeing there's no further public comments now closed, and I just want to thank the comments about welcoming our new commissioners and thanking our former commissioners and having an opportunity to learn about, making sure they learn about what's happening here at the library as well as the Friends of the Library. So thank you. We will now open this up for any comments from the commissioners on this item. Commissioner Lomax-Garducci.
Well, I'll just join our Madam President to say, Dr. Sean Calhoun, it's great to have you here. Sean and I worked together at the University of San Francisco for a number of years, and it's really wonderful to have a San Franciscan who has raised his family and is dedicated to this community on the library. So it's so good to have you here.
Great. Oh, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I'll just add something. Commissioner Calhoun, welcome. It's going to be a lot of fun to have you on board, and we're very much looking forward to learning from your experience. I just wanted to say a really I guess just a personal thank you to the former commissioners Teresa Ono and Susan Mall. I remember they were one of the first people to engage with me when I first started to come to these meetings back in 2017. And I remember that Teresa was one of the first people to offer to get time with me separately and just talk about what's going on. And they had just been so supportive from day negative, whatever it was, in terms of my commission involvement. So with the extra time that they have every month, I hope they're off to amazing new fun adventures and hobbies and things like that. And I miss them. So I will, I don't know if anyone's listening, but if they're listening, hello. But I did want to say just a thank you. I have always really enjoyed working with them, and they left a mark in my life. Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Lopez.
I'm going to join my fellow commissioners. I just want to say that I joined the commission during the pandemic, and the first person that reached out to me was Commissioner Ono, and she was just so welcoming, and she offered to meet with me during the pandemic, which I really appreciated. I feel like her generosity, not to mention the treats. She always had the best candy. It, was really inspiring and was a mentor. She definitely was a mentor, and I'm grateful to her. With Susan, her questioning and the way like she talked about like one city, one book, and how she enjoyed that. It was always something like, oh, maybe I want to do that. So I really want to thank both of them. I learned a lot. I'm glad, PE, you're back, and thank you so much. And then for the new commissioners, I'm glad we're not the new ones. Sean, as another Dawn, congratulations and welcome to the Library Commission. And Whitney, I had the pleasure to talk to her, and I know she's already very excited and has so many ideas. So I feel like we have a bright year ahead of us. So welcome.
Thank you very much. And our new commissioner, Commissioner Calhoun.
Clearly, I have large shoes to fill. I hope I'm up to the task. Thank you all for the very warm welcome, and a special thanks to the staff who have really made time to get me organized, involved. Connie, everyone, thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
One chapter ends, a new begins, and it's going to be a really exciting year ahead. We have a lot of really important work to do, and we have our strategic plan, but we also have a lot of effort to keeping the city on track to be the best it can be, and making sure democracy stays alive and well, and the libraries remain a resource for our citizens in every possible way. So here's to a great new commission, and really looking forward to it. So now we will move on to item number 2, which is general public comment. This is where we normally, Sean, this is where we normally start the meeting with general public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to come forward and bring up any topic of relevance to the library and our purview. So we open the auditorium up for people to make general public comment. It can be on any kind of topic, and it's always a good opportunity for us to hear about ideas and things that are happening in the community and issues that are important to our citizens. So public comment is now open here in Correct.
Thank you, President Wolf, and good evening, Commissioners. I'm Walt Belofsky, President of the San Francisco Bay chapter of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the nation's largest free thought organization, which is dedicated to preserving the constitutional principle of separation of church and state. Our chapter urges you to join the fight against book bans by becoming a partner library of Books Unbanned, an initiative of the Brooklyn Public Library. Young people aged 13 to 26 nationwide are empowered to read banned and restricted books and audiobooks by offering them free library e-cards. I hope you've read our letter to you, so I'll talk about something else. This is a picture of Admiral Chester W. Nimitz pinning a Navy Cross on Pearl Harbor hero Dory Miller, the first Black sailor to receive that award. You may have read about it on the front page of Saturday's New York Times, but you can't read about it in the Nimitz Library at the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, because that has become one of the more than 10,000 libraries and schools in the US that have banned books about Black folks like Dory Miller and lots of other folks too. A lot of things have changed lately. Those over 10,000 book bans, that's triple what it was the previous school year. And now the freedom to read and the First Amendment are under attack at the highest level of government. So please fight back. Take leadership and join the LA County Library, the San Diego Library, and other partner libraries, and become a partner library of Books Unbanned. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Further public comment?
Peter Warfield, Executive Director, Library Users Association, Library Users 2004 at yahoo.com, and P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California, 94117-0544. I'd like to thank the previous speaker for talking about the importance of libraries in general and access to libraries and not being told what to do by outside government agencies, which I think I said at the last time. Libraries I consider an absolutely vital cultural and community institution, an essential one, and that's one reason why I care a lot about what goes on at the library. In other places, librarians and library management have fought the exclusion of books. We don't know here, we haven't heard anyway. I think perhaps the commission might want to prepare for such kind of requests or requirements from others at this library, and I think that would be a worthy discussion. I have been concerned about the library's exclusion of somebody else, and that is who is able to to benefit from library materials and programs. That includes a preference very often for programs and materials that are not accessible to people with little or no access to computers. The exclusion, the turning off of Wi-Fi overnight at the Harvey Milk Eureka Valley branch to keep away specifically homeless people. And that's a great concern of mine, as well as other kinds of unavailabilities. So for example, during COVID, there were weekly updates for people about libraries opening and more hours and more days. As somebody receiving information by letter, I got 2 postcards. They wouldn't even have a bulletin board for showing what was sent electronically. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Any further general public comment at this time? Seeing there's no further public comment's now closed, and just want to thank our visitor making his presentation today. We appreciate that. Thank you. We now move to item number 3, which is approve a discussion and possible action to approve the March 20th, 25 commission meeting minutes. Before we discuss this among the commissioners and take a vote, we open this up for public comment. Public comment is now open on the March 2025 meeting minutes.
Peter Warfield, Executive Director, Library Users Association. I won't go through the routine that I began at the beginning because of the recently cut public comment, 1/3 of public comment time on each agenda item. With respect to the minutes, once again, the minutes are a pitiful thing. I looked as an example to the minutes from December 15th, 2016, and there were quite much more extensive comments, summaries of what was said both by commissioners and by the public, whereas here we have not only paltry and censored minutes, but we also have them the comments of the public summarized in ways that sometimes make no sense and are lacking in any kind of detail. My public comment on the approval of minutes was that the previous minutes had some very specific things that were omitted, including my every time mentioning Frances Haugen and the whistleblower statement to the Senate 3.5 years ago that Facebook prioritizes profits over safety, and that there are other issues with social media that the Surgeon General has talked about. And the reason I mentioned those is because the library is touting, without any kind of alert or warning or any kind of information about downsides, is touting this to everybody in the Get Social box that's in the At the Library monthly communication. On capital projects, I mentioned the Ocean View budget had gone from a high of 20 million, which already seemed high, to up to 97 million, I believe was the number, and I was very specific about what was provided. I talked about Financial Capability Month and how that's an example of stuff that's programmed that does not look at poorer people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further public comment relating to the March meeting minutes?
Hello again. It was just very minor. Under public comment, agenda item number 3, capital project update. It mentions my name, District 11 resident asked what the best sites were for Ocean View. Just adding that in, because they were talking about a lot of different sites. What the best sites were for Ocean View, and that Mike Fernandez should give another update on budget. I think what I was trying to say is that it might be prudent that Mike Fernandez give another update on the budget, given the numbers involved. That's what I was trying to draw a distinction of. Thank you.
Any further public comment? Seeing there's no further public comment, I note public comment's now closed. And I now turn this over to the commission for discussion and review. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the March 25th meeting minutes?
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as written for March 20th, 25.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Lomax Garaducci and a second from Commissioner Lopez to approve the March 2025 meeting minutes.
I'll take the roll call. Commissioners, please say aye or no when I call your name. President Wolf.
Aye.
Vice President Wong.
Aye.
Commissioner Lomax Garaducci.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Commissioner Bolander.
Aye.
Commissioner Calhoun.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. And now we move on to item number 4, which is our mid-year report that we always look forward to on public services, that presentation and discussion. And I turn it over to City Librarian Michael Lambert. Thank you.
Thank you, President Wolf, and good evening, Library Commissioners, Library staff. Appreciate this opportunity to report out on our performance metrics and utilization trends. And we have our Chief Analytics Officer, Randall McClure, here this evening to offer this report. Take it away, Randy. Would you like this clicker?
Yes. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Randy McClure here, Chief Analytics Officer. It's good to see you again. We're going to actually do a three-quarter year report tonight. We're at April already, so we have 3 quarters of data. We're a little past the mid-year, so I just want to make sure you understand that we'll be looking back 9 months through this fiscal year and into the previous year as we talk tonight. The general takeaway for today is that we are continuing to show recovery from the pandemic. We're now 5 years past the beginning of the pandemic, and we've been open for almost 4 of those years, reopened, and then there was a period of many branches and hours sort of being reinstalled. So we're still seeing some recovery from that as we move into the next fiscal year. Oh, I've got 2 things going here. Okay. So first, I'd like to introduce you to this slide, which is something we will bring back to you every time that we do this from here forward through the next 5 years. This is our strategic plan FY25 priority projects. And these have been in flight since last fall. You recall if we came in September, we gave you an introductory conversation about some of these projects that we were starting for this fiscal year. We also talked about how we would be doing the management team would be doing road mapping work this spring, which is currently happening, to look ahead to the next 5 years. This is what we have currently in flight as the first year of the strategic plan has been initiated. All 20 of these projects, we ask for folks who are leading them to give us a monthly update and how these projects are coming and if they're making progress on the deliverables. And as you can see here, through March, 100% of those 20 projects were meeting the monthly expectations. Now, I do want to set expectations. These projects have only been going for about 4 or 5 months at this point. Many are probably years from being finished. Some are a little smaller and can finish by the end of this fiscal year, but we are making progress and we are tracking it, and we're providing those updates internally every month. So you can see some of the projects here. I'm not going to go through them all, but they include projects such as expansion of our award-winning Fog Readers program, development of an RFP for our facilities master's plan, reintroducing a regular meeting with new staff to meet the leadership team, which we were all part of. I believe that was just last month. We met 6 or 7 new staff at that point, and I know that was something we used to do. We've brought that back, and so on. So once we hit year end, we'll be back in July of this year is the plan to do a full presentation on how year 1 of Vision 2030 has gone, and then look ahead to the road mapping work that I mentioned earlier and what we're really planning for the next 5 years. Next, you've seen this one before. This is our patron satisfaction slide, which continues to look very strong with a 3-month rolling weighted average of 8.95 out of 10, right? And so that basically that weighs each of these metrics based on the number of responses we get. And you can see there's an awful lot of green on this slide, which represents sort of the 7, 8, 9, and 10 ratings are shown here. Most of the slide are in the green, and you can see to the far right of the slide the actual scores for each metric. So a reminder that our source here is a randomized monthly survey that goes out via email to a sample of our active users. All kinds of green with staff assistance regularly coming in at the top, currently at 9.44 out of 10. And our physical and digital materials both coming in over 9.0 as well. So there's a lot of good news here. Patrons continue to be very satisfied with the services that we are providing. Since we started doing this approximately 18 months ago, the metrics have been remarkably consistent. We haven't seen really any up or downs or any spikes or drops to speak of, but that is why we do it monthly, so we can see if something's happening and track that and then be able to respond to that if something changes. Next, we have our cardholders, which you can see looking back 1 year to March of 2024 has increased by 7.7%, which is approximately 34,000 cardholders, which is great news. It's not represented in this data set just yet, but just a quick anecdote here. We note that at Night of Ideas, which was just a few weeks ago, we had over 100 card signups. So you'll see that coming in the future data that we show. But as you can see, this is really good news because we continue to add cardholders. With cardholders comes more circulation. And you can see again here a year-over-year increase of about 3.1% from the similar 9-month period in FY24. As physical circulation is still coming in consistently at a little over half, at 53% of our total circulation, and electronic circulation at 47%. And that's been that way for a while. And we're projecting a 14.5 million total circulation this year, which would be a new record for us here at SFPL. Last year, we came in just a hair over 14 million. It was 14.05 million. At this point, I think it's safe to say we're going to break that record again. Moving over to visits, we see a similar growth pattern here of about 6% increase of the similar 9-month period in FY24. March 2025, just last month, was a number that was 376,000, which was our highest trafficked month since the pandemic began. So that's great news. And we're also projecting a 4.24 million total for this fiscal year, which again would be a little bit up over last year, about 230,000 people. So again, kind of moderate growth, but growth in fact as we continue to move forward. Programming has been pushing hard to get back to where it was pre-pandemic. And so far this year, we're seeing about a 13.5% increase year over year, with the standard about 2/3 of those programs dedicated to youth programming and about 1/3 of the remainder dedicated to adult programming. The top 3 program types we have, it's not reflected here, but I think we're all aware, we have a lot of story times, we have a lot of activities focused on things like karaoke and face painting and art and all those kinds of things. And we have workshops, SAT preps and screen printing, learning Mandarin, those types of things. Really, a lot of the programming falls into those 3 categories. Right now, we're projecting about 14,700 programs this year, which, while still a little bit lower than we were pre-pandemic, would be our post-pandemic high in programming. That's what you see on the far right of the screen. Wi-Fi connections, pretty steady at this point. We're getting about 250,000 Wi-Fi connections per day across the system. As you all know, we are the largest provider of free Wi-Fi in the city, and we're continuing to provide this service for patrons who otherwise wouldn't have access. Computer sessions. Finally, another similar increase, about 6.5% in computer sessions year over year. We have approximately 900 public internet terminals that are available. The average session length is just shy of an hour, about 49 minutes per session. And if you can look to the far right again, you see that bar that's higher than all the others. Similar to visits, March 2025 was our post-pandemic high in computer sessions of 42,000. So I will end there and be happy to answer any questions you have on any of this information, and I thank you for your attention this evening.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we'll have some questions for you, so don't go too far away. But before we do that, we will open this up for public comment here in Corrett Auditorium. For anyone who would like to make public comment on this agenda item, we welcome you to come up and offer your comments. Thank you.
Wonderful job, Randy. Labor's proud. Labor's proud. The outstanding achievement of our workers, it just is shown consistently. I think the slide, Randy, about more circulation, a new record of circulation, I had to call it out. This achievement is wonderful, and just in the midst of shortages, in the midst of a freeze, et cetera, our workers are still doing an amazing job and continue to meet the mark. So I think for our members, their achievement, it's no small matter. Just wanted to call that out to everyone. And thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
Peter Warfield, Executive Director, Library Users Association. Library Users 2004 at yahoo.com and P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California, 94117-0544. It's certainly the case that the San Francisco Public Library has a great treasure in its staff, many of whom have been here for a very long time, and it's certainly nice to see that they are getting not only good ratings, but it looks like the top rating. The very bottom rating, unfortunately, is ours. And the Library Preservation Fund, which helped to tremendously generously fund this library, was intended to provide operational funding. And once that was taken care of as a priority, it was to be spent, the remainder was to be spent on a priority for open hours and books. Books and open hours. So what do we see here? Open hours is the lowest rated on the list. And the monthly survey going out to our users, I certainly would like to know what that is. I assume that's some kind of an email survey. I'm not on the email list. I haven't gotten any solicitation, and neither has anybody else who is not on the email list. So there's a question about statistical gathering. Books are very strong, print very strong, even though more than half of the budget for some years has been spent on electronic materials. And I would also question how you count circulation. If I browse 10 books and choose one on a subject and take it home, we get one circulation. If I want to browse 15 or 10, let's say the same 10 number in electronic, most of them I have to borrow them to look inside, and maybe all of them. Very few have samples. I'm concerned with nothing talking about newspapers, magazines.
Thank you very much. Any further public comment? Seeing there's no further public comment is now closed on this issue. Randy, you might want to just step up to the microphone. My guess is that we have a few questions. I just want to begin by thanking you for this always incredibly informative and data-driven report. It's always really exciting to see where we are, where we can show improvement, where we have shown improvement, and what the future holds. So I just want to say thank you to you and your team for being so diligent about getting these numbers in front of us and in front of each other. So I open this up for public comment, and I know to my left, someone's chomping at the bit, and so so I turn to Commissioner Bolander.
I've been called many things, but not professor. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. As usual, as usual, Randy, fantastic report. And of course, I always have questions, and not so much in that it's great that we can see this information, and the data lets us drive great decisions. So when it comes to slide 14, the patron satisfaction, I'm just curious. I think this has been consistent, as you said, over the last 18 months since we've been doing this, which is great. I mean, everything is generally above 8.5 almost, which is stellar for any organization. I'm just curious, do we have plans for like those bottom three, on the stats? Like, is there improvement plans that we're going to do that? I know some of them we can't, like hours of operation is one we've talked about, but are there other things that we've got, some improvement plans to bring those up, or
Yes.
how do we think about that? Yeah.
So with regards to the hours of operation, we have a charter mandate to revisit that every 5 years. So with the renewal of the Library Preservation Fund, that reset the clock. So we will be working on that in earnest. And we'll probably start thinking about that in the coming year. It is a process to line up the necessary capacity to do all of the survey work and public hearings in every supervisorial district. So I just want to assure you that that work will occur on schedule. With regards to the library website, we do have a new CIO, a newly appointed CIO, and this is something that I'll defer to Maureen. I'll let her chime in, but I'm going to tackle programs, classes, and events first. So as part of our current strategic planning initiative work, this is something that we are looking at and developing additional systems and structures internally so that we can look for both efficiencies, but also to better understand at a more granular level what is our community interested in attending, what gaps exist. This could actually be a standalone topic that we bring to the commission in the coming weeks and months ahead. But I will defer now to Maureen if you have any insights on the library website.
Thanks, Michael. So we do have some regular meetings with our IT team as well as with our communication teams about ways to improve our website. I'm not aware of a particular project in mind, but I have plenty of ideas for them. And I do know that the CIO has been looking at what other systems are doing,
Right.
what else is happening in the city, and
That means we're gonna get it off Drupal, I hope.
I hope, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we, and then of course, always we have to see what DT's recommendations are, the Department of
Right.
Technology, for the various website options that we have. But we are generally and always looking at how do we make it more user-friendly.
Yeah, because I'm assuming last time it was redesigned was when, roughly?
Oh, it's, yeah, it's
Pre-pandemic.
been a
while,
while, but yeah.
Okay.
And do you mind if I jump in to just
Yeah.
with those three, because I had some follow-up questions, do you mind? Then I'll turn it back to you,
yeah.
Professor. But,
Gosh, jeez.
but my question is, because I had questions on those items, when we do the survey of hours, do we do an analysis of the do we do counts of how people are actually currently using the library in different hours? Is that part of the study that will take place?
We actually have that now.
Oh, we do?
It's almost real time. We can track it up to a 15-minute interval.
Oh, wow.
So that's how we
Okay.
knew, for example, that we had 8,000 visits on the Night of Ideas between 4 p.m. and 1 a.m. So we do track that regularly and daily, and so that information can be used to do the demand analysis that you're speaking.
And that happens at the branches as well?
Yes, correct.
That's great. Because sometimes I do know in surveys, people want things, but they don't necessarily then use it. They say, oh, I want it to be open until midnight, but then no one comes after 8 o'clock. So is that gap. The second question I had, and then I'll turn it back to you, I'm sorry, but it's on this topic, is about the programs, classes, and events. One of the questions I was thinking of is that in most of these analysis, more is more. But in some of these areas, less might be more. So it may not be that we need more programs. We may need to actually hone in on our programs and look at really what is the participation of these programs, the experience, and instead of saying we just need more is more, less might be more. So I just want to encourage that kind of thinking, that the quality of a program is in the experience and not in the numbers necessarily of how many.
You are validating the need for us to bring back a more in-depth examination, and Dolly is not here this evening, but I know her analyst for public services has already developed a pretty nice presentation that would give you an overview, so we can look at bringing that back as soon as May, if not July, because we're not going to have a meeting in June, but we will certainly tee that up for you.
That's great, because I do think that of all these data points, that's the one that I feel is a kind of an anomaly in here. Thank you.
Yeah, given the quality of the programming, for sure. And you know, don't get me wrong, like, there's organizations all over the entire world that would kill for this. I know a lot of them. They try to hire me to help them do this too sometimes. So very proud of this. We all should be very proud of this. This is fantastic. One other thing on the circulation, obviously looks like now we're, 47 digital, 53 physical. I forgot what this was pre-pandemic. Was it about this? I thought it's about the same, right? Or
No, it was about 2/3 physical pre-pandemic.
2/3
Yep.
physical,
And about
1/3,
1/3.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
so there's clearly
It's shifted.
a shift. I mean, obviously during the pandemic, people couldn't come, but we would, if that was an anomaly, we should have seen it go back to 1/3, 2/3, but it has not. So our investment and our strategy to provide that seems to be solid over the last 4 or 5 years. Okay, I just want to make sure that it looked like to me, yeah, it was not an anomaly anymore. It's like, especially for all these years. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Great. Any further? I'm going to go to Commissioner Lopez. The real professor.
Randy, thank you so much for all the information. I have to say that I really enjoyed the quotes that you put on the graphs, because that, really speaks to what people are saying, and that was really nice. I do have a couple questions. The first one on slide 14, and I know that this is an ongoing topic for the library, but can you speak more about the safety and security? It seems, and just for my understanding, in comparison to previous years, how are we doing?
I can speak about the data, and Michael, maybe you can speak about some of the interventions and initiatives we have undergoing. This hasn't changed much, to be quite frank with you. We've been doing it, my alarm is ringing, sorry. We've been doing this survey for 18 months now, and safety and security has consistently fallen in the middle of this ranking, with a slightly larger share of the red on the far left. It's pretty much consistently been the one with the most people who were unhappy out of all of these 9 metrics. Now, I want to make sure that I frame that correctly, because it's still a tiny sliver, to Commissioner Bollander's point. It's a tiny sliver of a lot of other good news, but safety and security has been that one that has slightly more of a share of the red than anyone else. But it hasn't risen or fallen within this particular ranking since we started this survey.
I would just add that we are prioritizing safety and security. It is embedded in our Vision 2030 strategic plan. It is reflected in our core values to, prioritize the well-being, the health and safety of our staff. And we also have an internal organizational shift identified in Vision 2030. You may recall that that appears really in both places, our core values and the organizational shifts. In my tenure with San Francisco Public Library, we have made great progress on this front. We have effectively decreased security incidents by approximately 50% over an 11-year time horizon. We invest more in safety and security today, approximately $8 million a year annually, than we ever have. And I think it really bears out in the data that our patrons are telling us that they overwhelmingly feel safe and secure visiting our library locations. But this is something that our management team, we think about and talk about on a regular basis.
Thank you. The other question I have is on page 18 graph. So for this San Francisco Public Library youth versus adult programs, can you tell me more? And it could be that I'm not reading this correctly, but so it looks like we're increasing the number of participation on both the adults and the youth programs. Can you guide me through reading this?
Yeah, sure. So this is the number of programs. This is not attendance of those
Okay.
programs. This is the number of programs that we are offering per fiscal year. In FY25, we've only gotten through 9 months of that fiscal year. That's why the blue and the green and the orange are lower to this point, which is about 10,680. But then we've projected above that. That's the box that's transparent, but it has a blue border, and the orange box. So we're sort of projecting out, based on the trends, based on history, what we would expect by the end of this fiscal year, which would be about 14,700 total programs.
Programs,
Yeah.
okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, Commissioner Lomax Scarducci.
Thanks so much, Randy. I just want to comment. The work that you have done over these last few years, I happened to serve as commission president when the Department of RSA was established with the leadership of Michael. And you came in and literally have changed how we look at information, how we understand information, and you've been able to do it in a way that is relevant, responding. And I just want to say that from the arc of where we're 4 or 5 years ago to where we are today with this information, I think, Randy, you have done an excellent job just to be able to show a level of accountability to anyone, and you've been able to do it in a very accessible way. And one of the things that I'll say about this, even with the patron usage and et cetera, and Jerry, I agree with you, all of it is outstanding. It literally is outstanding. And at this particular point, we're just trying to figure out how do we do continuous improvement to something that is actually already outstanding. And so I just want to acknowledge that, because I've seen from whence we've come from and where we are today. And this particular Department of Research Strategy and Analytics has been a game changer for how we understand the operations of the San Francisco Public Library. So I just want to acknowledge you and your team, because you built it up from scratch, and Michael's leadership for knowing that this was such an important department to have.
Thank you very much for saying that. Vice President Huang.
Thank you, Randy, and huge +1 to that. Huge +1 to that. Randy, I just have, or maybe just for Michael and Maureen and Randy together, I'm curious, I'm trying to just put some of these numbers together and just ask some interesting questions that have no defined answer for us, just kind of food for thought. When we look at page 15, so that's the cardholders by years active. First of all, this is great. I love that, over the last year, we've increased cardholders by 34,000. That is a big move in a population of 809,000. That's amazing. I think what it gets my mind thinking about, though, is when we start to pair this growth rate against the other growth rates or change rates in the other graphs. I think the general question I come to is, what are we doing to continually evolve our understanding of what the cardholder base wants from the library system? I ask that because if cardholders are growing by 7.7% in the last year, but circulation is 3.1%, one could argue, making a whole bunch of assumptions, that this next cohort of people that we brought into the library system are engaging with circulation less. When you look at things like Wi-Fi connections essentially going sideways for the last year, sort of suggests to me that the number of new sort of like cell phones entering branches is rather constant despite the increase of cardholders. Now, all that's to say is, I think one part of this is natural, which is that we already know the library super users are in the library. That's been the case for a really long time. We're now sort of getting more and more into the segments of the population where they might not have a natural use for the library, certainly as it was defined over the last 5 years or whatever, and what they might look for in the library system is different, or maybe just generally that their engagement is less, right? Like if someone just did not ever check out any books, they're not going to suddenly start, you know what I mean? So I guess what I pose the general question, which is do we have any sort of interesting anecdotes or narratives or stories to tell about a new persona that we're reaching as relates to library usage? And then two, this is a much broader question, but as we look out to the 3 to 5 year period, if this trend continues, as we have, fast forward to this time next year, we have another 8% growth, and the metrics kind of still grow at the 2 to 3% mark that we're seeing. What does that say about what we're measuring, first of all, and then two, any potential changes about our library offerings as a system? So I know that's a lot, but just kind of want to throw it all out there and then see if anyone has any interesting comments to offer.
Well, I'm excited about your question because it is validating to the conversations that our executive leadership team has been having more and more. In light of the implementation of our Vision 2030 strategic plan, of course, we want to have 100% market penetration, and we aspire to have everybody in our community dialed into our library programs and services. But I think generally speaking, we're striving to continue to mature and grow and become more sophisticated as an organization in how we approach acquiring new customers, in retaining existing customers, leveraging business intelligence. And I want the team here to chime in. And I invited our Director of Communications, Jamie Wong, to come up. But the nice thing that I've been seeing from my vantage point is greater internal collaboration between research strategy and analytics, our marketing and communications team, our public services team, and really all the special ops units. I mean, our budget informs a lot of our activities. So I just welcome Jamie, if you want to comment here about how you're working closely with Randy's shop.
Thank you, Commissioner Wong, for asking that question. Really, the question that you ask is the one that we all ask ourselves, right? If we could all achieve 100% market penetration with our marketing, I mean, we'd all be a success in every single private and public venture that we have. I would say that we are very fortunate, I would chime in, to have RSA's power to understand the different neighborhoods in which we could be increasing our penetration rate. So we, and I don't want to speak too much for Randy here, but we have recently finalized some branch profiles, and we understand a little, we can now delve into understanding a little bit more about the behaviors of different neighborhoods around the system. There are a lot of questions to be asked, and this is what we're delving into. So absolutely, you're opening up a whole entire line of things that we are asking ourselves. We just had this conversation this past week. What are the different personas? Like who is using the library? What kind of services are they using? What services might they not know about and that we can try to share with them? So that's a continual effort at understanding. So together, I think coming out of the pandemic, this is, something that we are looking to achieve. And so we have more to share on that in the future. But I'm glad that you asked that question because we ourselves are thinking about it very regularly. If you have more questions, like specifically, I can try to address them. But I want to say that we are on the same wavelength and we understand the importance of what you're asking for. Randy, do you want to chime in? Sorry, this is very tall.
Sorry. I don't know if it was serendipity, but where we sit, my team sits in the main library in 679, literally right next to the marketing team for many years at this point. Jamie had to move recently, but still her team is there next to us. So we've had a lot of conversations about this. And from my perspective, marketing is driven by data. If you don't have great data, you're kind of shooting into the wind a little bit. And so we are trying our best to provide as much good data that we can give to the marketing team to really target how we do that. We had a conversation just this week about personas. It's exactly the kind of conversation we're having. We're talking about churn. I know our new commissioner, who's not here tonight, has some interest in that as well. So we want to understand, for example, when we talk about when people churn out, is that at 3 weeks? Is that at 3 months? Is that at a year and a half? It's what we're seeing in the data. It's actually pretty quick. So if we can get ahead of that quickly, then we may be able to retain that individual before they start to move on. So those are the types of questions that we're asking. We're not quite there yet to present a lot of data on our findings yet, but I have a great partner with Jamie and the marketing team, and I'm looking really forward to what we can continue to do under the Vision 2030 framework.
Well, I just want to thank you. I think that was this was a very robust discussion. I think that we now finally have enough data to start reflecting back that to really ask these deeper questions. And it's really wonderful to hear your responses to some of the comments and questions from my fellow commissioners in how you are thinking about this, how to use this data. And not only for accountability, like, yes, we're spending our money wisely, but really for planning and thinking about how to deploy resources, how to focus efforts, and using it as a tool for change. And the more we can use this information, not to say, oh, pat ourselves on the back, aren't we doing a great job, and we've reached here, but to really kind of think about it and use it to really direct how resources are deployed and how people think about the goals and needs of our constituents in really, really interesting and dynamic ways. Because I look at this and say, oh my God, we've got 50,000 who aren't doing anything with it. Like, how do we change that? And, who are those people? And who are, how do we, what happened there? Right. So I just want to say this is, thank you, Michael, for making this division so important. And Randy, your team is really essential, but really it also, your data depends on also everyone participating in the library and being open to looking at the data, because what you think might be successful may actually not be successful, and the data may show that. And that can really help inform how to strengthen, how to use our limited resources through marketing. It's just great that you're all in partnership and that there's a leader who is really making this all happen. And it's not just patting ourselves on the back. So thank you. And thank you to all the great questions from the fellow commissioners.
How many departments in city and county of San Francisco look at personas and churn?
Yes.
0. Make me very happy.
Yes.
Just so you know, that's really cool.
Well, it makes us all happy that we can, I take seriously what the voters, 80% of the voters said. We want your resources, and we really have the responsibility to use those dollars incredibly strategically, and they're getting to be less dollars annually. So this is coming at the perfect time to really help deploy and get rid of things that may no longer be useful. So thank you very much to you and your teams. Really appreciate it. So thank you. We will now turn to item number 5, which is always a crowd pleaser of the commission meeting, which is the city librarian's report. So happy to turn it over to City Librarian Michael Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President. We have a number of presentations this evening, and I'm pleased to introduce our first presenters. We have Jen Wu, our Family Engagement Coordinator, and Lori Talarico, Acting Adult Engagement Coordinator. They're going to be jointly reporting out on our SWANA programming honoring Southwest Asian and North African cultures. Take it away.
Thank you, Michael. Good evening, library commissioners. Lori and I are part of a committee of library staff who, under the leadership of Michelle Jeffers, head of community programs and partnerships, develop culturally affirming programs during the year throughout the library locations. Typically, celebrations occur during the months federally and local municipalities recognize cultural heritage and history. But for the past few years, we've extended celebrations throughout the year, so library visitors have more opportunities to experience events representing their own culture or learn about another culture. So in other words, we keep the party, the celebrations, and the learning going all year round. So in recent years, in order to recognize more of our city's residents and the region, the library has celebrated SWANA. As Michael said, SWANA stands for Southwest Asian and North African, and it describes this region in a geographical, non-political, non-religious, and non-Eurocentric way. We're here to celebrate and observe the heritage and culture of the SWANA region and center and deepen our understanding of a community that is present and growing here in San Francisco. We desire to elevate and amplify community members from the SWANA region while also building trust in a community that has proven time and time again to be resilient. And we can be present for community members whose hearts are with their families and loved ones overseas. Kudos to SFPL's Readers Advisory Team for offering a curation of reading recs to celebrate well-known Arabic people, such as Zaha Hadid, a designer and architect, and authors from the SWANA regions. There is a well-known phrase youth services librarians are familiar with, coined by children's literature researcher Rudine Sims Bishop: mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors. So you've heard me say this before, but books are opportunities to see ourselves reflected, which is the mirrors, and see into each other's real or imagined worlds, which are the windows, and imagine what it's like to live in someone else's reality, which is sliding glass doors. In other words, books like these that center often underrepresented narratives support sharing stories, empathy, and compassion for a self and others. List of these book recommendations can be found on the Library SWANA's webpage at sfpl.org/SWANA. Okay, so another key way the library is celebrating SWANA heritage is through our cultural amplifying events. The library continues to work with presenters who are experts at what they do and can also share their culture to youth and caregivers in attendance. So starting on the far left of the screen, Renda the Beat with Henna Gardens events shares the history and culture of henna. Participants learn the basic skills of henna and receive their own henna cone to practice on themselves, in addition to getting small designs during the program. Nicole Maria and Faisal Sedan celebrate Arabic arts and culture through dance and music. Nicole Maria, award-winning dancer, will provide a dance workshop while Faisal provides a percussion workshop after their performance together. The library also continues to seek community members who have not held events at the library. This includes Al Jathor Dabka Dance Group. Al Jathor means roots in Arabic. Dabka dance is a popular and joyful group dance in many countries in the SWANA regions, including Palestine, Lebanon, Jordan, and Syria, According to the recommended visual encyclopedia, We Are Palestinian, A Celebration of Culture and Tradition by Reem Kassis. I'll now pass the mic to Lori to share out adult and all ages events at our libraries.
Thank you, Jen. As with our youth programs, our adult and all ages programs continue to highlight cultural expression and community engagement surrounding Southwest Asian and North African heritage. We were excited for an opportunity to work with a new library presenter, Aman Sharif, a Tatriz artist based in the San Francisco Bay Area whose work is deeply rooted in her Palestinian heritage and family legacy. She is dedicated to preserving and sharing Tatriz, an ancient form of Palestinian embroidery passed down from mother to daughter, as a meaningful expression of cultural identity and storytelling. After a brief tutorial, participants will be able to complete a small Tatriz project during the workshop. We also have two programs from Nilofar Talebi, an author and award-winning translator, creator, and producer. In her program Beyond Rumi, Avant-Garde Iranian Voices, Nilofar explores the bold and innovative currents in modern contemporary Iranian poetry, sharing selections from her Northern California Book Awards nominated anthology, Belonging, New Poetry by Iranians Around the World. In Creative Approaches to Autobiographical Writing, Nilofar guides participants to discover the power of their own stories and turn their experiences into impactful narratives. In this workshop, they're going to learn to craft their tales into family scrapbooks, poetry, spoken word, or memoirs. And then for our all ages events, we have returning Nicole Maria on her own in a solo show that's designed for all ages, featuring traditional Middle Eastern belly dance. The dance uses movement to share stories, reflect cultural values, and create a sense of community. There will be a performance that highlights the techniques and rhythms of the dance, and then the audience will be invited to take part in a guided dance lesson and in a guided dance lesson that welcomes participants of all ages and experience levels. This event offers a hands-on way for our patrons to learn about the music, movement, and cultural background of the belly dance. Programs like these are a reflection of SFPL's commitment to honoring diverse voices and traditions. By offering events that highlight cultural expression through dance, storytelling, visual arts, and hand-on experiences, we create opportunities for connection, learning, and joy within our community. Rich cultural experiences not only encourage learning and appreciation of different perspectives, but also strengthen the bonds that connect people across our city. By engaging with cultural traditions, we build more inclusive, vibrant communities where everyone can feel seen, valued, and inspired. Thank you for allowing us to share the ways library locations are celebrating Swana culture and community. Together, we can create a more connected and welcoming San Francisco.
Thank you, Lori, and thank you, Jen. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our next presenter, Mademoiselle Naomi Jelks, our Main Library Manager, with a report on La Nuit des Idées.
Thank you, Michael. I'm Naomi Jelks. I'm the interim Main Library Manager, and I'm here to talk to you all about Night of Ideas. I'm very pleased that this was our 5th year offering Night of Ideas. This is an annual evening arts and culture event organized by the French government and happens in more than 190 cities around the world, and more than 23 of those cities are in the US, and no one does it like San Francisco. The night is formed around discussions and debates on the issues of our time. In 2025, the worldwide theme was Uncommon Ground. But for San Francisco, because we're extra, we came up with the idea of Uncommon Ground. The night's panels featured everything from art-making workshops to discussions of sea level rise, income inequality, and the labor movement. In addition, there was an expansive small business marketplace led by our small business librarian, Julian Randolph. Sprinkled throughout the night were really wondrous performances. Featured here is singer Kim Nally, fresh off an engagement at Lincoln Center in New York, bringing her song styling to the atrium. We also had kids hip hop dance troupe, a women's chorus, the Clubfoot Orchestra, and more. Our entertainment was curated by Circuit Network, a local arts nonprofit. And our night often ends with a dance party. And this year, the Atrium Discotheque, organized by Friends of SFPL and Adam Swig's Value Culture. The crowd was amazing, and it was really a sight to see. I think a highlight that I wanted to point out was a crowd-supported Bohemian Rhapsody sock puppet sing-along led by the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. You laugh, but that sock puppet program there were like 150 people there in that area of the library alone. For the second year in a row, we lengthened our night with a special afternoon of ideas for families on the second floor of the main library. As it was last year, this was a really special time for families with local authors reading from their books, a drag story hour, a ballet class with San Francisco Ballet, a puppet show, and workshops, and a draw-off contest with award-winning illustrators, arts and crafts from local arts organization, and so much more fun. Thanks to the mild weather, we were also finally able to use Fulton Plaza to its fullest potential, with food, crafts, and some amazing art cars bought out by the organizers of Burning Man. We also got to cap the Fulton Plaza activities with the unveiling of a spectacular light show installed between the main and the Asian Art Museum by local artist Joshua Hubert of Spectra. And for the first time ever, Night of Ideas expanded to the Asian Art Museum with more panel discussions, performances, interactive art experiences, and a chance to visit their new exhibition and their permanent galleries. And of course, the night does not come together without the amazing talent of SFPL staff. More than 150 strong, from custodians to engineers to frontline staff, everyone was put to work to make sure our guests could find their way and get their questions answered all night long. Everyone got into the spirit to ensure we created a welcoming experience for all our visitors. And speaking of visitors, we broke our record with more than 8,000 guests that night here at SFPL, and another 4,000 visited the Asian Art Museum. It was really a testament to the creation of a special event that delights the San Francisco community. Thank you to our partners, Villa Albertine, the Cultural Affairs Initiative of the French Consulate, KQED, and the Asian Art Museum, and to the library leadership that supports this big event, and to everyone who worked hard to bring this night to life. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. C'est très bien. Well done. Thank you. All right. So our final report will be yours truly, sharing a report on our recent library night with the San Francisco Giants. It was last Monday. And she is not here. She's celebrating her birthday, but all the credit goes to Michelle Jeffers, our Chief of Community Programs and Partnerships. She conceived this idea of Library Night, and she leveraged our longstanding partnership with the San Francisco Giants to make it happen. And they happily worked with us for the first time. And it was so successful, they want to make it an ongoing annual event now. As the leading urban library in our region, we were able to leverage our regional contacts to invite 21 Bay Area library systems to participate in a special ticketing program for the game. And this featured opt-in donations for local Friends of Library groups. And we ultimately filled 500 seats at the game that night. So all the participating libraries were invited to the newly unveiled China Basin Park, and we set up a special reading garden. We had different activities like 3D printing, button making, book giveaways, and library card signups. The Giants brought in music and a face painter and a bar to add to the spirit of the event. And at the bottom of the third inning, a PSA flashed up on the big screen. Where's that at? It's coming. Oh, here we go. Yeah, that's the PSA that flashed up on the screen. And this was a spotlight on the benefits of public library services in our local communities. So all the participating libraries were allowed inside the ballpark, and they were able to sign up people for library cards. But it was so much fun having SFPL sparkle in our lead ceremonial role. We were shining a bright community spotlight on libraries. Commissioners Lopez joined us, along with our newest commissioners, Calhoun and Commissioner Jones. Former library commissioner and past president Charles Higueras, and retired city librarian Luis Herrera, and our partners from the Friends and Foundation of the San Francisco Public Library. They were all there on the field with us as well. I was honored to accompany Lucille in bringing the game ball out to the mound. So that is a bucket list item checked off. Even though the home team took the L that evening, Bay Area Libraries won big with the community spotlight on the work that we're doing to transform lives. Special thanks to our intrepid mobile outreach services team that joined us. Thank you to them for always showing up, and kudos again to Michelle Jeffers, who spearheaded this initiative. And that concludes the city librarian's report. Go Giants.
Michael, may I just jump
sure.
in and add something about Night of Ideas? I wanted to give a particular shout out to John Cunha and everything that he did. Yes, I'm going to shout you out. For the Spectra Light Show, he was a champion from the beginning as a wonderful way to not just make that night special, but to make the Fulton Plaza special. And he worked really hard at that. And also, I'm going to further embarrass him to say that he's a great harmonica player, and his band was playing that night. So thank you to John for the work that he did to help bring the Spectra Light event and help continue to keep that space activated. So thank you.
As always, never disappoints this part of the agenda. But before we have comments here from the commissioners, we open this up for public comment. So public comment on the city librarian's report is now open here in Corrett Auditorium, and we welcome any public comment. Thank you.
Just a quick comment about the Swana. It's about the NA, North Africa. 2023, decided I needed to take a little bit of a break, and went down and got a passport. Never needed one because I was with the military, and just randomly wanted to check out a place. So October 3rd, I landed in Tel Aviv, and then 4 days later, it was a different place. Sitting on top of a hostel, watching Iron Dome intercept some missiles. So anyway, decided to go east instead of west. Went to Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and then got a real sense of the Middle East. And went to a conference, and they were talking about MENA, same MENA, Middle East and North Africa. So never heard that before. So when I heard Swan, I thought, But really that North Africa we're talking about is the upper north part of Africa. And so it'd be nice if maybe there's something in the works to talk about the southern part of Sub-Sahara, and all those people. So anyway, just wanted to share that.
Thank you very much. Further public comment?
Peter Warfield again, Library Users Association, Executive Director. P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California, 94117, and Library Users 2004 at yahoo.com. It always is a pleasure to hear about library programs and activities. And Night of Ideas is certainly the biggest blowout party in the year, with tremendous attendance and a lot of noise. Luckily, the program seemed to be in rooms that were off of the atrium. In past years, it was hard to hear sometimes when programs were right around the periphery. I wanted to say something about, it seemed to me a little thin, certainly on books or book-related materials, social impacts of internet and social media, climate, income inequality, poverty, and so on. I did particularly enjoy a panel from KQED, talked about AI surveillance, capitalism, and the dystopian novel, The Dream Hotel. This room was very full, and it was very interesting. I wanted to talk about the access to this program. It seemed that, certainly in past years, whenever I've asked, if I ask a librarian for tickets, they would say, oh, you have to go online and so on and so forth. Turns out you also have to have an email address. You also have to be willing to answer some of their questions or they won't let you go on. The questions included, what's your name? What's your email address? What's your general range of age, and then the specific birth date, and a question on gender. If you left anything blank thinking you could go on to the next page, nope. It came out in red with stars next to those fields. You had to fill them in. If you could figure out the down caret, you had some specific choices. I don't think it was appropriate for that kind of privacy invasion.
Thank you very much for your comments. Appreciate everyone's perspectives. Any further public comment? Seeing there's no further public comment on this item, public comment's now closed, and I now turn it over to our commission for comments and discussion. I just want to begin by thanking Lori and Jen for your really informative presentation that just sort of touched the tip of the iceberg about what it is that is happening here at the library, representing these diversity of voices, and just thank you for your efforts. Naomi, as always, Night of Ideas continues to just get bigger and better. That's a case where more is more, and the expansion of it to our neighbors and really creating a neighborhood environment. So thank you for that. And Michael, we're really glad you hit the bucket list, but when are you going to throw the ball? I think that's got to be the goal for next year. But what a great few weeks for the library in terms of being really embedded and part of our city and being recognized for the role that it plays and the contributions it makes and the relationships and partnerships it has locally really are really quite impressive. So anyway, so I open it up for any comments, discussion. Yes, we have Commissioner Calhoun.
Thank you. Lori, Jen, I don't have my glasses. You talked a little bit about how your program helps build trust in the community. Could you explain that a little bit more to me, please?
Well, Swana is a new kind of cultural celebration at the library, as I had mentioned. And part of I guess it's a roundabout way of trying to represent community members, and so that they see themselves in the library, not only on the books on their shelves, but also in the programs that we offer. So that's one way of building trust and kind of making the space for people. Another way that we're working on is also building trust within community organizations in the city, and then bringing programs that they might offer or might recommend into the library. So it's listening all ways around, basically, and it shows up in our programs. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. And I guess I just want to sort of call back also to an earlier presentation about data. And I'm just wondering about how we think about the things that are built when these public programs happen and how they're reflected in the ways we understand the impact of the library, because I believe very strongly in what you're building when you do these programs. And I just am curious about how that shows up in the things we use to talk about the successes and failures and where money is placed as the library and the commission talks about the future. So thank you for that work. It's very impactful.
Thank you very much. I think that concludes this discussion item. And again, just want to thank those who presented, Lori, Jen, Naomi, and Michael, with a little side in from Maureen. Thank you very much. We also know that that represents the tip of the iceberg in terms of all the people that participated, and really want to thank the entire staff for contributing in such meaningful ways to at the branch here at the library, and of course at with the Giants. So thank you very much. We now move to item number 6, and I have the role of saying that the meeting is now adjourned. But before I go, I just want to say one more thing. I just want to come full circle for one moment and just say, keep supporting the library, keep using the library. Libraries matter more than ever now. They are an incredible source of democracy, of access, of information, and we can't ever lose sight of that. We live in a very privileged community in which our library is valued, but that does not happen everywhere. And it pained me when I saw the article in the New York Times that we were presented with today to know that our One City, One Book was Maya Angelou's book that is now banned in a library. And here it's just we have copies to give away, copies for everyone to read, and yet in communities it's not even available for free. So this is a moment to really cherish who we are, what we do, and keep doing the great work that we do to make learning and education a resource for all. So thank you. And this meeting is adjourned. I'll do this. And see you in May. Thank you.